Bugliosi paints you as a small would-be pop singer, as he describes it, of little talent. How do you react to that?
Bugliosi looks in the mirror every morning when he shaves, and that's the only person in Bugliosi's world, just him. Ask his wife, she knows it.
Helter Skelter tells the story of Charles Manson and the Manson family, but I've discovered another book about this story when I was watching Candace Owens' podcast. Take a look.
I was also talking about the Diddy lawsuit. It was a very fascinating lawsuit because he was talking about the person who sued him, Hollywood, and how it operates. And it very heavily implied that the government is controlling Hollywood, that there's some sort of a gang that is controlling Hollywood. And they freaked out about that. Absolutely. You can't even talk about that. Why is that? And then it sort of reminded me in these conversations that I was having offline with Ye when all that stuff was going down, he was saying things to me that I just could not compute. You know, he was talking to me about everybody having a handler in Hollywood, you know. He was calling people the ops, you know, this person is in with the government. And he notoriously said that Diddy was a Fed. He said that publicly. Diddy's a Fed. Diddy's a Fed. And everyone was like, Kanye's crazy. And now we're looking at this lawsuit and we're going, okay, wait a second. Clearly, Diddy was being protected by the government. Clearly, Diddy had a person he could call who would just clean up a mess if he shot someone, which the person in the lawsuit is alleging that he did, and that he was able to get it cleaned up and was able to get the media to lie about what actually took place at his studio. Again, those are allegations, but they are of some interest. And they're of more interest to me than ever before. Now, you may have recently seen me promoting this book, Chaos. To show it to you here, just so you guys know, this was just sent to me on my birthday this year by my friends, and I had no idea what I was getting into. Honestly, you guys, my brain is melted. I don't know what is what in American society, but I do know that the people in our government are in fact evil. It is called Chaos, and the subheading is Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. It was written by Tom O'Neill, and I'm going to very briefly tell you how the story sets up because it's impressive. You get this guy, he's about to turn 40 years old, and his editor comes at him. He's a writer for Premiere magazine in Los Angeles or in Hollywood, and he says, hey, it's going to be the 30-year anniversary of the Manson murders, which forever changed Hollywood. Notoriously, it was believed that it ended the hippies era. The murders were so brutal and so disgusting and so jarring and so shocking that all of those hippie communes that were all over and everyone wanted to drop out of college and become a hippie. And so he gets this assignment from his editor, and Tom O'Neill is like, come on, it's been 30 years. What am I going to tap into here that hasn't already been said? And he starts making some calls, and he's kind of struck by the fact that people seem almost scared to talk to him. I'm going to tell you that you will not be able to put this book down.
Vincent Bugliosi, the author of Helter Skelter. What story does he tell?
Well, Manson had been telling his family about Helter Skelter ever since that album came out. Helter Skelter was going to come down. How was it going to come down? Well, he said the blacks in Watts, he called them spades. He said they were going to come out of Watts, they were going to go up to Beverly Hills and murder a family in Beverly Hills or Bel Air, print words in blood on the wall. And that was going to happen in the summer of 1969. Well, the summer kept wearing on and it wasn't happening. So one day he told little Paul Watkins, he says, Paul, we're going to have to show Blackie how to do it because it's not happening. Blacks aren't doing it. Paul knew exactly what Helter Skelter meant, and little Paul took off. He fled. He didn't want to have anything to do with it. So on the late afternoon of August the 8th, he told his family, now is the time for Helter Skelter. Tells Tex Watson to go to the former home of Terry Melcher, Doris Day's son, murder everyone on the premises, tells the girls, get some dark clothing and a knife, go with Tex, do everything that Tex tells them to do. And that night, as you well know, Sharon Tate and 4 other people were brutally murdered, stabbed to death. 3 of the victims were also shot.
Tom O'Neill, the author of Chaos. What story does he tell?
Chaos is exactly what it is. He ends up realizing that everything the public learned about those murders was a lie. He ends up discovering that the CIA was involved. He ends up discovering that the CIA knew Charles Manson. He ends up discovering that Charles Manson himself was a Fed. Charles Manson was experimenting on behalf of the government with LSD, intentionally drugging people, that our government was obsessed with how to create how to control a mind, rather, how to create a mass psychosis. And they were conducting all sorts of illicit experiments on the American people, drugging people that worked at the CIA. This also brings us to MK Ultra. We have discussed this before. You know, the idea that the government is involved in drugging people in an effort to control them. They say MK Ultra ended. He talks all about MK Ultra. Well, do you think it's ended? Me? No, I don't. Not after the things that Ye told me. Not after reading the text messages that were sent to him from who he says was his quote unquote handler, you know, threatening to drug him and send him back to La La Land, telling him he'll never see his kids again. What happened to Britney Spears? You know, I think as a nation, we have to be able to confront the fact that there is truly evil, that demons are real,